Nerd with a Phone 1 here, otherwise known as Charles, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. But I also host a podcast called Nerd with a Phone Podcast, and the number one question any podcaster gets, what is your podcast about? Well, I cover entertainment news, music, video games, television, comic books, and other hobbies. We say get nerdified. What does it mean? It means we get happy. Alright, check out Nerd with a Phone podcast on indieblastnetwork.com. Also check out Everyone Has a Story and the other great podcast here on the Indie Blast Network. Thank you.
This is Kel Wepperson, book author and team owner of Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. You are now listening to Ghosts in the Valley podcast.
Hello, I'm your host Al Cooley, host of Ghost in the Valley podcast. Today on my Halloween special, it's a real-life haunted house in Delroy, Ohio. It was a cool September morning around 6:30 a.m. I headed out to Mike's house, which is located about 65 miles south of where I live. The story got interesting right off the bat when I got lost on the way to Mike's house. My GPS went out. It's in the backwoods country, one-lane roads. I didn't know where I was going. My GPS kept popping in and popping out. I was trying to get the land markings and where I was going, but eventually I made it to Mike's house about 8 o'clock in the morning. The first part of this episode is on Mike's haunted house. And the second part of the show is my conversation with the TAT paranormal team. They were at Mike's house, and they will share what they also seen inside the house, what they witnessed. I am keeping Mike's last name confidential to avoid any trespass on his property, so to speak. So I'm going to keep that confidential. But the house is real. My trip there was real. My walkthrough was real. The very beginning of this episode, I have my audio on as I'm walking through his house. The back part of his home is a newer addition. The front part of his home is the original house. Mike knows for sure it was built in at least the early to mid 1800s, and it stayed in the family up till to this day. The Historical Society, it's showing that the house may have been built possibly in the late 1700s. The house was moved from its old location down the hill up to the present location by a team of horses. And we're going to get into all that during the interview. The only thing I had with me at that time, that early September morning, was my cell phone. I did record my walkthrough of the house, and then we do the interview on his front porch because I wasn't really comfortable inside the house. My cell phone screen split into 4 sections, which had never happened before. Upside down and sideways pictures, and it stopped working, going in and out. It was a very unusual day, so to speak. And we'll get into all of that and what actually happened when I finish with this interview. But we're going to, like I say, we're going to start with the walkthrough of the house. Then we're going to go onto the front porch and finish the interview from there. This is my conversation and my walkthrough with Mike at his haunted house in Delroy, Ohio, September 2nd, 2022. This is the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. This is the kitchen. This was one of the rooms in this is the original part of the house here. This was the original back door.
And then this was added.
So this is an added section to the house.
Yeah. It's really old. That was where the chimney was for the old wood burning stove for the kitchen. That was before it had plumbing. Also, there was a well lift pump out there that they would draw water, bring it in. And then eventually this was added, for laundry room. There was 2 doors here. There was another door buried in the wall there, behind the stove, or behind that cabinet in the corner. But then we got the living room. There's certain things you just don't move in here. That clock and that clock.
This is the original part of the house at the living room?
This is the original part. It was this bathroom was added. This bathroom was actually part of that other room that you saw there.
Okay.
That's why the toilet sits right in front of a window.
Okay.
And this was always...
Why is the clock not moved?
It used to be over here. We did move it.
Because of the angle of the...
Well, things start to happen. That's when I start, the shadow people start coming around. Start to hear talking in the house. I'd be laying upstairs and hear conversations, and I'll come down, leave a radio on or something, and you go all over this house, and the conversation's there. You can't find where it's coming from, It's the same volume in here, the bathroom, upstairs, go to the kitchen. It's just...
Yeah, I don't... It's different from this side to this side, definitely. I come on this side, my chestnuts are so tight. I come to this side. Yeah.
This is the, now, careful on these steps because the house actually leans backwards. But this is... This here is where Ralph likes to play with somebody.
Okay.
And this is
like a spare bedroom.
Yeah, it was only a 2-bedroom house. All of the furniture still original. Some of it's really, really old.
We're upstairs in a spare bedroom. Okay.
You
You do feel the slanting of the house on a...
Yeah, it's hard to sleep. We got to shim the beds up so your feet aren't up in the air and stuff.
Yeah.
So our bedroom's a little better than that.
Then this is your room.
Okay. Yeah, the bed used to be here. We moved a lot of this old furniture around. The one over there used to sit here. And when we started doing that, that's when you should really start to notice some odd things going on. It's still I'll hear the footsteps come around, and then it'll stand there. And it's happened so many times that I'm just I'll open my eyes. I know it's there. I'm just like, hi. How are you?
And I thought her footsteps was just over there, and I wasn't walking. I'll have to check it out when I get back. But
I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's
guys,
right back there. Just now. Behind you.
yeah, there's times in this house where it's real electric. And it's like I can,
And any, like, full moon, is that any difference? That type of time?
I haven't really,
May want to watch that on the full moon.
yeah,
It seems like there's a lot of activity. I don't know why.
it's different time, it's so random, just when I think, okay, there's nothing going on in the house, I haven't seen anything for weeks, and then all of a sudden, it's weird, something's been really getting me when I sleep. I'll wake up, heart pounding out of my chest, and the dog hates thunderstorms.
It's weird because it seems like the house is angled this way.
It is. The whole house is leaning.
But you look at the walls, it's like it's going this way.
Yeah. There's a bow in the ceiling.
Okay.
Too. It's got a really weird fun house.
Yeah,
effect,
it is a fun house. You're right, yeah.
And, it's weird because all the paneling was framed so everything's level. But the house is not. If we leveled the house, which I don't think you probably could, I wouldn't want to.
It's expensive to level a house. You can't level.
Yeah, it would look like everything was really crooked because everything's been finished.
Kind of finished to the angle that you're standing, yeah.
But, I'll wake up, heart pounding, and I thought I went to swat him off the bed because he was driving me nuts. Something was going like that. And I thought it was him. And I woke up, my heart's pounding, and my eyes are open, and the bed is going. And I went to swat at him. I'm like, stop it. He's laying right here, looking up here, just, and I knew what had just happened,
Yeah, it's definitely different, yeah. No doubt. I guess there's a different feeling in that section. You probably feel it too,
Yeah.
I mean, you live here.
It's become.
Unless you don't feel it, and I feel it.
No, I feel it different times. This spot right here is where he plays with what I believe, a child. And, he'll run around here, jump up on the bed and watch and come drop the ball and look under the bed and then come run around and stuff. And, sometimes if I come in, it's like it might be scared of me or something. And he'll just come over here like he's watching a person. And he'll just watch it go.
Well, if there's anybody in here, now's your time to say what you have to say. I'm like, wow, that is strange. Yeah.
What's going on there?
It's just turned everything upside down in half. That's usually a full picture.
Are you sure you didn't touch your screen?
No. Everything on my device is upside down.
I feel it.
I feel it now.
It's
Yeah. That's never happened before. I feel it big time. Okay.
it's here.
Yeah. Definitely. That is weird. You guys don't have a problem staying here?
No. People have asked, if we were going to, have it removed or,
Okay.
but it's not menacing. We've been
It's
living
just
with
different. It's just different. I mean,
it's. I know they're here.
at this section right here is where my phone went completely out. My screen split into another 4 sections, and the glass on my cell phone cracked. I felt nauseated inside the house. Mike spotted a shadow creature behind me. I spotted one behind him. That's when I decided I wasn't feeling right, and we would do the interview on the front porch. Mike wasn't feeling right as well. This is the interview with Mike on his front porch in Dalroy, Ohio. So let's start from the beginning. You bought this house. You're a caregiver of, what was his name?
Tom.
Tom, and you cared for him in his house until he passed.
Yes.
His wife said she talked to
She
or seen spirits.
she knew all the ones that were here, and
I believe because when they were here doing the ghost hunt, the ghost kept telling me, "Get out. You've ruined my house. Get out." Doesn't like me. And I feel like it was attacking me. And since they came, I've been able to just tell her, "You're not welcome here. This is my house now." Just kind of stand my ground.
I was telling Mike, if you ever asked to go to the light, you can move to the light. You can go.
Yeah.
And sometimes the spirits don't even know they're dead.
Right.
And that's what bothers me, because when you come upon that,
yeah.
But if you ask them to leave, they usually leave.
Yeah. The one, through the medium, wanted to know if she could stay. If we were trying to contact her, if we were talking to her, if she wanted us there. And the one, I believe it's a small child. It's a young girl, and it's peaceful. That one, I've become, very accustomed to, with it walking around the bed and hearing the footsteps. And
she said she hides under the bed
Yeah.
with the dog.
and being able to hear it, you're, almost be able to see it, in the dark. It's one of those things that, unless you've seen it before, it's just really odd. It's something darker than dark.
I know what I felt upstairs just now was not you felt the same time I did, and my phone went upside down. So
it flipped
and froze, and I've never ever had that.
Um,
It was still recording, so hopefully I'm going to get whatever frequency.
It got really electric at the top of the steps.
Yeah.
Like the energy just got, when Tammy Leach was here from TAT Paranormal. TAT, TAT Paranormal.
TAT.
Yeah.
I'll have to look her up.
Yeah, it's a group her and her sisters formed.
That part of the steps there was where she grabbed the rail, and that's when she it just came through.
And you have to watch too, because they're real small up there.
Yeah.
That you're not knocked over the rail. But yeah, I felt that up there. In the back room, you said the new addition. I don't feel anything back there.
Yeah, the kitchen and
that seemed to me like a. But as soon as you said this is the old edition, since I've had heart surgery, I feel things that I never felt before. I told my wife that I can tell you if it's human outside the dew point, it's right here. And I go into certain spots, certain haunted areas. I can feel it. Where I don't need a K2 meter or a voice box.
Yeah.
you feel it.
I felt it up there.
Yeah. It was weird,
Sometimes they share a home with you that they've been here a lot longer than you.
Yeah.
So they just come and let you know, hey, this is our house.
A lot of times we've been living with them for so
And you're
long.
saying that you get pissed off and you'll say, okay, this is my house, get the hell out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you could actually piss them off by doing that. But so you might go into a room and you'll smell like, say, perfume
It happens in here. There's times upstairs in our
or
bedroom.
cigar smoke, pipe smoke.
You will get it'll feel like
my hair is all
like a cold. You'll get the cold blast, the pocket for no reason. It's ice cold. It's like the temperature's got to be 20 degrees colder, and you will get that smell of like old.
It's an old
Avon or
Hydrati smell, or back in the
like
70s,
roses.
60s.
It's like one of those old-fashioned rosy smelling, perfumes.
I wish I knew what perfume Tom's wife used to wear, because I bet it's hers.
Yeah,
it could be. I mean,
and being that you never know, because it could be from this past family that lived here for over 100 years.
Yeah,
It could be the family before, but this house was originally built down there at the bottom of the road, and it was lifted up, and they pulled this house up here with horses and planted it here.
So the house has been moved.
It's been moved.
Okay, so what activity could have been down there came with it?
Now this house sat down there for around 80 to 90 years. And so there's a lot of history there that, you go back in the deeds, you can't find that history anymore.
It's so strange, man. I've never my phone's been acting up since I've been here.
This family, it was one of the girls. The little girl said she was looking for her family, but she couldn't find them.
So how many spirits do you think you are dealing with?
4.
I think they TAT Paranormal told you 4.
Yeah.
Or the medium.
Yeah, we had a real good feeling. They're very distinct when they come through. You have one that bangs on the door.
Turns the doorknob.
And will throw stuff. You have the shadow people or a person.
Have you ever seen a full apparition yet?
Yes. I came home from work, and she had a crock pot going on in the kitchen. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go upstairs and chill out. I said, all right, I'm going to go jump in the shower. So I got my phone in the bathroom, and I'm getting undressed, and I hear footsteps coming down the stairs. So I take a peek out of the bathroom, and I see a girl. Couldn't really tell color. It was solid. I could see the hair swing as it came out of the stairwell and go into the kitchen. And it was so solid and real that I just stepped back in the bathroom. I was like, oh, Rachel went to check the crock pot. Well, I go back in the bathroom, and I get one foot in the shower, and I get a text message. So I peek at my phone, and it's Rachel. Hey, hon, where you at? And I'm like, why would she text me from the kitchen where I'm at? And then I realized what just happened, because the hair that I saw go around the corner was shorter hair. And I realized that it was way shorter than her. And I ran to the kitchen. I looked in the laundry room, the kitchen, the spare room. And I was like, if I go upstairs and she's laying in bed, I'm going to kind of freak out, because it was the first full body apparition that I had saw. Sure enough, she's in bed. She's got her hair up in a ponytail. And I was like, you are not going to believe what I just saw. I said, I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her. I finally saw her. And it was, until you experience something like that, it's...
That's why I always say on my podcast, unless you experience a UFO, unless you experience seeing Bigfoot, or you experience seeing a ghost or a spirit, you are not going to believe. Like my son-in-law, in his words, a ghost has to actually come up and kick him in the ass for him to believe. I said, so until you actually experience it, you have to. I watch what I put out there, because you will be labeled as crazy or nuts or.
Yes.
That's why I don't like to talk to it with.
And I have people come on the show and they can, like yourself, that can talk about it, because you're not talk to somebody that you want to say what you're experiencing and not feel like you're losing it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like I say, like there could be not demonic, but it could be just an angry spirit, or somebody told me once they're damn souls, or you're.
They could very well be. Did you tell them about the shadow people attacking Tom?
Yes.
And then Charlie.
Yes.
So the house is built. You think this house is? You really don't have a date, but you're saying over 200 years.
Yeah. Yep. I know a lot of the history of it, past a certain point, is hearsay. Supposedly, there's a picture in the archives of this house being pulled up the hill.
Have you ever checked, like, say, is there a library around here you can check for the archives?
There's a historical society, and I need to go down there, and I need to really go through the archives.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing it on my old house. I'm doing that right now, and it's so hard because, like I say, once the house is gone, like once that house is moved, you don't know if they got rid of those records because they moved it up the hill.
Yeah.
Or they may still have the records under that address, if the address is different.
And it's hard to say because we don't know exactly where the house used to sit. It was one of the properties at the bottom of the hill. Pinpointing what that address used to be. Now the roads have changed and stuff.
Or did they build this house on some type of a burial ground? Or
there's out in the garden there are, every time I till it, it's really arrowheads show up. A ball of flint, old flint hand knives and stuff.
Because there's Indian burial grounds everywhere in Northeast Ohio.
And this is like the arrowheads that I found in the garden here are like prehistoric. I believe they were like the ancestors of the Iroquois and the Delaware, because we're right on that line. The research that I did on the type of artifacts that I found in the garden area were the ayahuasca. And there were different tribes through that also, but they're prehistoric. And I had a guy that was a history buff come out here, and I also had heard, from some old timers around here, that this driveway used to be one of the original stagecoach highways. You can kind of see it, the roadbed that goes, dips down in the woods and stuff. So there's a lot of history. You take a metal detector through the yard and the thing never stops going off. It's horseshoes. It's horse bridle equipment. Things like that. So the history is so thick that who knows where a lot of this energy in this house comes from.
So have you or your wife ever been hurt?
This house, never been hurt. Me and wife both went down the steps, and it was kind of like a push. But it's one of those things, the house is so crooked. It's weird the way we both fell down the steps. She broke her tailbone. When the paranormal investigators were out here, we were sitting at the top of the steps, and they were talking to them. And one of the things that came through real clear on one of their devices was, I'm going to push them. And
did they hear it while they were sitting there, or did they hear it when they got back?
We heard it while we were sitting up there.
Okay.
Talking.
Because there's sometimes, like I do an interview, I was talking to the gentleman, and he's another podcaster, and he goes tours around Gettysburg. And as I'm doing an interview with him, he says, well, the house I'm sitting in now is haunted. So you might hear or maybe see a shadow while we're doing this interview. I didn't hear anything. But as I'm editing, I always edit my conversation. So when I'm playing it back, I hear, like, I had to take that, and I had to go really through my decibels and frequency and bring it up and really pinpoint really tight And it says, my last name's Cooley. Hi, Cooley.
Yeah.
That was freaky. And it came on his end, not my end.
Now,
Because I have his audio, my audio.
when you were taking the audio in the house, and we were downstairs here in the living room, I caught a shadow behind you that shouldn't. And
I got a shadow behind you upstairs in the bedroom.
And I don't like to
Yeah.
say anything when it happens because, we live with them every day. Every day here is a ghost story. People don't believe it and stuff. And there's things that happen that I just I let them go.
You're talking about in the living room
Right.
where your drums are?
Yes.
That's why I remember telling you, I don't know if I told you, I felt,
Your back was towards the bathroom.
I felt definitely, so I stepped in the other room to see, am I feel?
Yeah, that's when you walked out to see if you felt the difference.
Right.
And I looked back at you and I caught the shadow again. And I was like, okay, this is one of those things where it's stirring. It's, and there's times where I think, maybe I shouldn't even talk about this stuff because there will be, sometimes weeks where
I don't think they mind what comes. They do mind disrespect
yes,
when you walk in. For somebody that's going to be disrespectful and say this is
Yeah.
a bunch of BS. I
That's
do know
why-
that. So, yeah, you have to watch who
There's-
you bring in the house.
there's certain things that really stir them. And, when we were going in
I always
there,
respect the...
and it was almost like they knew why you were here and it was starting to stir them.
Mhm.
And the energy got really thick. I started to see the shadows, and when I start to see the shadows,
That's why I said I want to do this outside, because sometimes inside
yeah,
this won't work,
yeah,
or it'll stir the activity to where it's really worse on you than me.
yeah,
So I'd rather always do it outside. Every one I've done, I come outside. I don't want to do it inside.
yeah. As I try to live with the respect of them, they don't bother me. They don't, normally, bother me or my wife.
Do you have any Ouija boards in the house?
No,
Okay.
I
I'm just asking.
I do not. I won't allow.
I don't see anything that you're doing that. Something I don't know if it was moved here from the house from previous. Because it seems to me like the original house is the part that is.
Yeah,
When you talked about that part and this part, and I could feel that here. I really felt it upstairs.
Yeah.
I felt it there by your drums,
that's
and I felt it upstairs by when
the.
I don't know if I got dizzy, but I felt like I was. It's hard to explain. It was a really weird feeling.
Yeah, the drums was always the hot spot. That corner is where the shadows would appear in the corner, and you would see
So was there how many shadows behind me? One.
one, and I saw it pass.
While you were standing by the end of your bed, when I said that looked slanted, even though it was going down this way, but it was slanted this way, I seen the shadow behind you move.
Yeah,
So I don't know I just didn't know
that's what happens. It's like
if I was seeing something from the window that did that, or
yeah,
I at the same time I can feel the different energy change.
yeah, and every time I know it's something. It's the shadow person. I know if a bird would have. We're out in the middle of nowhere. I know if a bird flies and I'll catch a weird shadow, or the wind blows a curtain or something. It's that electric feeling, when they pass, and you catch a glimpse of them and stuff. You know they're there.
So yeah, I'm thinking, well, you might, if your wife's saying maybe there's a child.
They came, when the medium was here and sitting on the steps and stuff. We got names that were coming through. And
She was bringing it through her
just kind of.
cycling through her, or was she bringing it through like some type of spirit box?
No, it wasn't a spirit box. It was just channeled through her, and we told her nothing about, how many we believe. We didn't, we gave them as little information other than you got to come check this house out. Just try to confirm what we've been seeing, what's been happening, and all this stuff. And it hit her as soon as she came into the kitchen. She turned around and held up 4 fingers. And it's like, okay. And we went upstairs first, and she hit that part of the stairs, and it hit her. And me and my wife, we sat down in front of the bed, and as it came through, said her name was Rebecca. She hides upstairs. There's the other one up there, Mary, mean lady, explained, what her hair looked like. The energy got so heavy in the room, I got a crushing headache. It was as interesting.
That's what I had up there. I wasn't not dizzy, but I was a really bad frontal headache.
Yep, it's right in the front, and it's just like it gets so heavy up there when things are really coming through.
And I've actually felt that since we walked into I'll tell you the truth, walked into your living room when you said there was shadow there. I actually felt it there, and definitely upstairs. Not so much in your room, but except for that one shadow. But that one, the spare room, definitely.
Yeah.
And
the dog will play with her. And I'll hear her footsteps come in the room, and I'd always, before the team came in, and kind of like, and she spit out that her name's Rebecca. So I always told my wife, the footsteps are so small and gentle, and the way it stands there, it's like it's checking on you. It just wants to see what's going on, and it has a real light feel to it when it happens. And I always told my wife, it's a little girl. I know it's a little girl, and that's why we kept everything hush hush when the team came in, because I didn't want to plant that in an investigator's head and kind of like pollute what make suggestions. And when that came through, I looked at the wife. I was like, I told you, I knew it, I knew it, But it asked if we wanted it to leave, and it asked if, through her, if it could stay, and it's part of the house, it's part of the history, it's something,
sometimes that spirit is here longer than your grandmother's been alive, so they've been here all this time. And yeah, you're saying, this is your house. You're staying here. This is your domain. But they're looking at, you are in our house. And I never believed in spirits or ghosts or boogeyman or any of that stuff until it happens to you.
Yeah.
And then when you tell somebody, I was grounded half my life because my mother thought I needed mental help or something.
Yeah. The first time I ever had an experience, I heard my grandpa. And my grandma's, old house in town. The family would always go there and gather. Grandma was blind, and that's where all the family came. And it was an old farmhouse down there. And we were playing down there, and I was probably 11 or 12. And my grandpa had a really distinct voice, and I heard him having a conversation in the other room, down in the basement. And run up and tell Mom, and of course, you're crazy. It's a house full of people, you didn't hear anything, and okay, but it always bothered my whole life. I knew what I heard, I had heard it, and I watched all these ghost hunter shows and, paranormal shows and stuff, and it's entertaining, but I was always skeptical because I'm like, you guys are, this equipment's rigged. You're putting on a production for the show. If you're watching it on TV, I'm not going to be that gullible.
Right.
I'm like,
right.
It's entertaining, it's interesting and stuff, but then until it's cinematic, because if you watch somebody walk through a house and nothing happened, nobody's going to watch the show. Something's got to happen. So I never believed it. Never believed in, like, the investigators, nothing. And then, when we moved in to help the old man here, and the footsteps and everything, and over the last couple years we've kind of put the story together, after the paranormal team came out and stuff. We got names, went back to family trees, all the names are there. You have Rebecca, the young girl upstairs, that is a real kind energy. You have Mary.
Do you know how any of them died?
No. From the height of her, the apparition that I saw, the only full body apparition that I saw, she looked to be, maybe about the size of a 12-year-old girl, maybe 13, 14. It wasn't, it's hard to say. But, then there's the one that doesn't like my wife, and it's got a dark energy to it. You feel it. It's like it's not comforting. Put the name Mary come through for her. There's a tall man. Had one of those recorders, and I had asked, who are the other two here, with us, and we, through the medium, we got, he's the tall man, and I got Lowell. The name Lowell came through 4 times, going back and listening to those recordings, and who's the fourth? We kept asking who's the fourth, and we got Adam come through several times. Rebecca doesn't like to go downstairs normally, and supposedly, through all the information that we gathered on that night, the bang on the door is the tall man that kind of warns her that Mary, the main one, is coming, and so she can go hide. I've seen. I came out early in the morning, had a cigarette, had my coffee, and I'm standing there just watching the stars and stuff. And in the backyard, I see something come out of the woods. It's real hazy. It's like almost like a candle flame shape, the size of a man. And I thought, it had this real subtle white, glow to it. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was a big deer. I thought I was looking at its chest, and it just stood there. And I stood there and I looked at it, and I walked up closer to see if it would move, and it started coming down the hill. And I'm like, I don't see the deer broadside. I was like, this is not a deer. And I realized by the way it was moving, it was walking. It was a person. And
kind of like a skinwalker, or
it was just like this glow, mm-hmm. of a person, straight up. And you couldn't make out any features of it. But the way it kind of moved, it followed the contours of the yard, of the hill.
Over here?
Yeah, right out back of the kitchen here. And it stopped again. And that's when I realized it wasn't a deer that I'm seeing. I would have heard it tromping. I would have seen it broadside. And then it started to walk again, and it fought. And it hit me. It's a person. And I went to yell at it, and I got out, hey, what are you doing? I didn't even get it all out. And it just continued down and went straight into the woods. No sound. And the whole time it's happening, I'm like, is there something wrong with my eyes? What the heck? I'm rubbing my eyes and stuff.
Yeah, you always want to say, rule out that it could have been this or that.
Yeah, I'm like, do I have eye floaters or this or that? It's interesting. I just wanted to tell the story.
You don't plan on leaving anytime soon, right?
No,
okay.
It doesn't. It's not going to scare us away.
Okay.
It's, we kind of...
Anytime worse than others, like night or day or morning?
No, it's all the time. It doesn't, and it has real,
the things that happen, doors slamming and knocking, the shadow people. It doesn't matter whether it's day or night, it's always here. And we, like I said, we've lived with it for years now. And it's one of those things like you were talking about. If they were gone and, somebody came in and was like, you're not welcome here, you have to leave, and the house would be really strange.
Thank you, Mike, for letting me come over and walking through your house, your haunted house. Wow, it was an adventure. I did feel something in that house. I felt it did not want me there. I felt the pressure in my head. I felt the pressure in my chest. There was tons of energy in that house. I give Mike and his wife a lot of credit for staying there, standing their ground. They don't mind sharing the house with these spirits. Coming up after this short break, I'm going to have the woman from the TAT, T-A-T, paranormal team that went through Mike's house, and they will give their thoughts on what they witnessed with their psychic medium and their equipment. Yeah, stay tuned. I'll be right back right after these brief messages.
No Outlet Live.
Hey, I'm Jay Remy, host of No Outlet Live. If you're in a podcast that explore any and everything, check us out. We stream anywhere you listen or watch podcasts, or just type No Outlet Live, one word, in your Google search bar to find the show. Live Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook. No Outlet Live, your road to boredom ends here. Do you like Tessa? Do you think this will be a date that can last?
Well, she's not very articulate.
Hi, this is Russ Bailey from Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Ghosts in the Valley podcast with Al Cooley.
The paranormal team that went into Mike's house in Dalry, Ohio was TAT, Paranormal, T-A-T. It's an all-woman team. Tammy, Tara, Amanda, and Angel. Part of this team went into Mike's house prior to me doing a walkthrough of Mike's house. So they're going to share towards the end of this interview what they experienced in Mike's haunted house. Here is my interview with the TAT Paranormal team from Melbourne, Ohio. Okay, I want to welcome to the show 4 women from T-A-T, otherwise called TAT Paranormal team. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Got all 4 of you together today.
Yes.
Exactly. What does your team do? I mean, you do it residential, commercial?
We've done a lot of residential. We've done, the bigger places. We've been to Waverly and recently went to Indiana State Sanitarium.
We've been to Randolph.
We've been just about everywhere able in Ohio and surrounding states.
And where are you located?
Malvern,
Ohio.
Melbourne?
Yes.
And how far do you travel out to do your investigations?
Farthest distance we traveled, 8 hours?
Yeah.
Kentucky, I
we
think,
went
was the
to
farthest.
Kentucky's been the furthest we've gone so far.
So there's Tammy, Tara, Angel, and Amanda on your team. Do you find it a little scary just having women with you? Or I don't mean this to be a sexist question. But
No, because if you would know less women, we can probably handle just about anything.
I know there's some guys, hightail it out there, first threatening response.
When we all started doing this as a group, the girls at first did that probably the first year we started doing it. And then afterwards, I told them, I says, we can't run from it. You have to stand your grounds with it.
I hear one of you is maybe more or is a psychic medium.
I go more sensitive. Yeah, that's me.
Tammy. Okay. How long have you been investigating?
7 years as a team.
You find it more activity during the COVID, shutdown?
We went to a couple places during COVID.
We didn't go as many places.
Yeah, because some of the places weren't opened up.
Yeah, because I found out from other investigators, with people being home, they're recognizing more things in their house that acting out.
We were kind of iffy on going in the houses and stuff.
Personally, in my own home, I haven't found anything like amped up or increased or since the COVID time. I can't say, I don't know about you guys. Angel may have some.
I have a little activity in my house a little bit. I notice it more because I'm home. I was home.
Do you haven't come across any demonic entities or just I know there's ornery spirits out there,
Oh yeah, we've had them, but no, we don't do demonic.
We don't work with Ouija boards. We don't do demonic. I know, for me and the bigger facilities that we would investigate, my problem was I would read ahead, and I've learned that you can't always believe what you read because there's a lot of hype and a lot of false information. So I would get myself, like this is Tara, when I first initially started out, I kind of got myself spooked because I believed in what I was reading with, a lot of the demonics and, entities that were rough or mean or physical, violent. And then we'd show up to a place that we were hunting or whatever, hospital, sanitary, whatever, and find out that I didn't have that any of that feeling at all. It was calm. It was, nothing necessarily what I read. So I learned that I can't always necessarily believe what I read. The information that you're always seeing out there is not necessarily the truth. So that for me at the start was a struggle, but then I just learned to kind of, maybe listen to more of those who've actually been there, the investigators, the teams we've kind of been with, that sort of thing, and just kind of personal experience, just kind of going and figuring it out for our own as a team, what's real to us and what's not.
Have you found that, a spirit will go to one member more than another?
Yes, usually Tam.
Yeah, usually Tammy.
Yeah, because I think maybe because she's more sensitive to it, and she started to, right. And the more we've done this, the more she's kind of honed in on her craft, and has learned to, I think, appreciate it more and doesn't block out so much.
Yeah, sounds a lot like myself. Lately I just go in myself. My body's a tool, and I can sense if there's something there.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where we're at. We don't have the big, pricey tools, video cameras, that sort of thing. When we initially started out, it was, cell phones that you just kind of, but I think it's just the feeling of, just like you said yourself, I'll just, kind of using your body as a vessel and kind of just getting a sense of what you're feeling and kind of letting the spirit kind of hone in with you and just being in the environment you're in and kind of just taking that in and kind of just connecting as you can. Because there's just some rooms and some places that we've gone to that, one of us may have a feeling it's not a good place. So as a team, we decide, well, then we're just not going to maybe necessarily investigate that, but just kind of be cautious or be more cautious as we enter there if someone's kind of picking up something different. But we've been touched, we've been scratched, but I don't think anything enough to not make us not want to do this anymore. I mean, I think that's the thrill, right. Of now, instead of running from it, we're running towards it. We want to see, we want to talk, we want to communicate, we want to get this background, we want to help if we can. So it's just kind of like we've kind of honed in and kind of unified, meshed as a team. I think, we each kind of do our own thing. I'm more of the dowsing rods. Tam's is sensitive. Amanda's
our video person. Yeah. She videos everything. The first time I had a spirit take me over, Amanda flipped. She got scared because she didn't know what to do.
It was just new. It was just new and unfamiliar.
Yeah. And I looked at her. I remember at one point I looked at her and I said, do not stop recording.
Mm-hmm.
I said, record. And now I tell the girls all the time, anytime I get like that, don't you ever stop recording. Even if something happens to me, make sure one of you are recording it because I want proof. I want to be able to show people what's going on.
Yes, that one time you don't record, like I found,
Oh, that happened to us.
I always associate like with fishing. When you go fishing, you either catch nothing, or your boat's not big enough for all your catches.
Yes,
and that's what we explained to people that we've taken, with us. Like fishing. It's we may get something, we may get nothing, but that's just the chance you take and the risk you take. I mean, you can go into a place and pay $500 and may come out with nothing, but that's just a chance you take. I mean, nothing's a guarantee in the paranormal spirit world. Somebody's got nothing to say.
And other days you can't shut them up.
You can't, and then you're just constantly nonstop and having a ton of videos and footage and photos you're going through for hours on end because you've just gotten so much stuff. It's a crapshoot.
And what does Angel do?
I like to use, what is that called? A spirit hand on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
She uses an app. She's kind of like the comic relief in the group too.
Yeah.
She's the newest to the team, so she's come a long way.
I don't run as bad.
Yeah, but she's new, but she's kind of a comic relief in the group. So,
but she has an app that she uses, and what it does, they'll come through and they'll say words, and she keeps us posted. Because there's time when I'm off and I'll start saying names, and then Angel will come across and say, look, that name just came across, or that the name will come, and then I'll say the name and I'll be in a different room.
Has anybody been hurt, during the investigation?
Not bad.
Yeah. I think enough to let the spirit just wanted you to know, hey, I'm here. I want to get your attention. I want to communicate.
She recently ran from a bat and fell down some stairs. Yeah. That wasn't paranormal.
I watched that video. Somebody was screaming downstairs because there's bats flying around.
Tim will take a spirit any day, but the bats, she's not.
Yeah, we're not good with bats. No.
I don't think I would be either. So, what would you say that the most active or the scariest spot you investigated?
Funeral home that you don't want to go back to. Where was that at?
Oh yeah, Broadwell Funeral Home.
I don't like that. I don't like that place. Well, it's just creepy to start with.
Well, I think at the moment we were investigating in the basement.
The basement was the worst.
Yeah.
That was the most activity.
Go ahead, Amanda.
I don't know if I can describe it. So, Tam, before she starts channeling with the spirit, she tends to rock. So Tam's against the wall of the basement and she's rocking, and Angel and Tara and I are sitting in a row, like 3 in a row, and we're sitting in front of the table that what is it called?
Bombing fluid.
Yeah, the basement was the morgue of the funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
So there was different things happening and noises and things, and the next thing you know, Tam is like whispering in Angel's ear, but I'm videotaping the whole thing, and I never saw Tam move. She's like over on top of Angel with her hand and whispering in her ear.
It was very nice.
And then Tara's sitting beside me and she's using the dowsing rods, and she kind of looks at me funny and not like the Tara look, like this is something different. And she kind of looks me up and down. She starts laughing a little
kind of freaky,
sinister. So I don't know what was happening, but something was happening with both of them.
Tara and I are real sisters.
Oh, okay.
So we don't know if that was the connection to that the spirits figured out that we were actually really real sisters, and they were trying.
But it wasn't even necessarily a connection, because at one point Tara looks at me and says, "I'd like to bash her head off the wall." And I'm like, "Holy shit!" She's really angry. I mean, she's really, really angry at Tam. And then Tam later told us, after she kind of came out of whatever was happening, that there was a hammer along the ledge to the left of us that she kept envisioning hitting us, all 3 of us, in the head with the hammer.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I've ever I think everybody has a little bit in them, but I don't foster that. I don't want to be that.
Uh-huh.
So I can. So like when we do, Tim does readings at times and stuff. So I won't go because I'm fearful that I'll either block or that something like that will happen again. And I don't want to take the opportunity of something positive to come through for somebody else when Tammy's doing a reading with a group of people or whatever, for me to be that block for her. So I don't attend those readings or those types of gatherings because just that one time has kind of isolated that thought process for me. And I'm not interested in that portion of this, if it's in me.
We've learned that Tara can't use the dowsing rods if Tam is channeling.
Blocks her.
They can't use them in the same room. If we're separate, then they can, but it doesn't work when they're in the same room together.
You think it's because of the energy?
I think yeah.
Now, do you think that it's possible to carry a spirit home with you or onto another location?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep.
We do a lot of cleansing prayers before we leave, requesting spirits not to follow stay. So I think maybe once we've had something came home with Tam and us not realizing, but we tried consciously to, request that the spirits don't, that they just kind of stay where they are and not attach.
I think too that Tam's had because usually our bear places that we travel for, we've booked since like January. So I think that whether it be through dreams or whatever, spirits will seek Tam out before we get there. Maybe just to, I don't know whether it's to try to communicate ahead of time or.
So maybe explain how your visions come through.
What I'll do is when I dream, I'll text Amanda the next day and I'll tell her, listen, this is what I dreamt about. This is what I seen, because the girls will do history on the place. They'll look it up, see what it's like, see what kind of activities there. I don't know. There's times I forget the names of the places that we're going to, because people will ask me, well, where are you guys going? I'm like, I don't know. They start laughing. They go, what do you mean you don't know? I said, I don't know. I said, I can't remember what the name of the place is.
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to know. I go in blind. I don't want to know nothing. The girls will go in and do a tour, find out where the hot spots are, get names and stuff like that. And I go in totally blind. I don't know anything about the place.
Do you do any type of history check on it before you go in there?
I don't.
Yes, Amanda and I usually do the research, but we don't give any information. And then if there's any names that are shared during our tour by a guide, we will mark those down, get that information. We usually take notes on the information. That way, once we start this investigation, we'll go back to our notes. If Tammy has said a name, we'll go back and say, okay, well, this is the connection here. Or if it's something new, it may not have to do with the building, but it may be the land. So then we'll just kind of ask later, because we try to stay in communication with the guide or the person that's let us in or whoever owns the property to say, okay, has this come across? Is this, or if it's new, or if they've had other teams mention. So we just kind of gather the information, just kind of hang on to it, but Tam doesn't ever see it. Tam doesn't know what was discussed. We don't talk about it. But then if Tam's like in a room and we hear a name, we'll kind of flip through our pages and be like, okay, there it is. Or no, it's, we don't have that information. So somebody new's coming in. So then we kind of provide that information to the people that own the facility just to kind of say, this is what we found. I don't know if another team comes across this or if there's a piece of history information we're missing that maybe we need to do a little deeper research on, because that's been times where we've done that to where, maybe we've just done general research, but then have gone maybe further back into our research and said, okay, well, this name's popped up, so maybe there's a connection, maybe there's not, but we'll further investigate and research if need be.
Now, this question is all four of you. What got you interested into the paranormal?
So Tam's been doing it for a lot longer than we have. So for us, it was just, we got tickets once to Mansfield Reformatory was having this big ghost hunt. So that was Amanda and I's first time ever kind of, I don't know, doing an investigation. And then from there, we just kind of got hooked, just seeing the other teams there and just kind of what they're doing and talking to them.
Experiences.
Yeah, right.
I've had personal experiences prior, right, and I've always been interested in paranormal, but
has never thought about making it kind of a hobby or, pastime. So that's just kind of where it started for Amanda and I. And then it just kind of grew from there. We just started, booking places.
And me, they invited me because I was curious. And once I went one time, I got hooked.
Who said that had a personal experience?
Amanda.
We lived in my sister and I lived in a farmhouse. An old farmhouse that was built in like the mid 1800s. We had all kinds of different experiences. My sister had saw a elderly lady rocking in a chair in the living room, but didn't tell me about it until way later. We used to hear like footsteps running upstairs, and the lights. We came home one night, and it was a 4-bedroom farmhouse, but every light in the house was on, and all the doors were open. And everybody that we knew swore that nobody was there. Nobody had come to like mess with us or whatever. We used to hear a dog barking on the hill, and we ran into the neighbor, and there was no dog.
Like, where's the dog at?
Right.
And then your niece.
Yeah, that was the same farmhouse. My niece was at the time like 3, and she would talk to. One was a good guy. One was a farmer, and then the other one was the bad man. She could describe them, and like we lived. Because we rented the farmhouse, but it was a beef farm. So she would talk about cows as mitts, and she would describe the farmer wearing boots and brown pants, and it all fit in.
Did you see footsteps downstairs or something?
Oh yeah, wet footprints going down the steps of the basement with the door open. We later found out that the older farmer that we rented the house from, his wife died in a car accident up on the hill right above our house. So we think the elderly lady that we saw rocking was her.
Uh-huh.
What about when you're moving out in the upstairs with your brother?
Things just would come up missing, and we were moving and couldn't find anything, and we thought maybe it was actually a liquor bottle, but we thought it was maybe in the attic because we looked all over the house. It was nowhere to be found. And he went to get on a stool to look up in the attic, and the stool broke, and he fell right when he was going to go get in the attic. So it could be just coincidence. I don't know.
What do you have planned for the future?
We got an investigation Saturday the 10th. We're going to a schoolhouse in Grafton.
Where's that at?
It's Grafton, Ohio. So it's like an hour and a half from us. It's called the old Grafton School.
Is that south of you?
I think it's north.
Okay, so I'm up near Youngstown, a little bit south of me.
And then we go to it's our second home in West Virginia. It's Sutton, West Virginia. That's where we're going to be for Halloween. And to be honest, this is the first time in 7 years that we've actually get to be able to do an investigation on Halloween.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's the Hammond House.
It's called the Hannum House.
Hammond House.
Hammond House.
Uh-huh.
Have you investigated the West Virginia State Penitentiary yet?
Yes.
That was our second investigation.
Yeah, I want to go there. That's on my bucket list.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
That place is really, really good.
We also are going to Greenville Manor in Pennsylvania.
Oh, the one that we just went to.
Yeah.
That one's good too. That was an old funeral home.
We're going back.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
There's another one you might want to check out in Pennsylvania. It's near Sharon. It's Hillview Manor.
We've been there too.
We've been there.
Yeah.
Also in Pennsylvania, there's called Knickerbocker Hotel. That was always, we've been there three times.
Yeah.
There's one too. I did a documentary years ago, and one of the stories in the documentary was from Hogback Bridge from Hermitage, Pennsylvania.
No, I've never heard of that.
I haven't either.
Yeah, look that one up. That's in the Hogback Road and Hogback Bridge, and it's very active.
Okay.
Supposedly, if you go in there after around midnight and you shut your car off on the bridge, your car will not start back up, and then the girl that's under the bridge will be in the back seat of your car.
Oh, I don't want that. Sit in the back seat.
Gotta stay
So
there.
now, do you have a team, Al, or do you just do it yourself?
I do it myself. Basically, right now, I'm just doing my paranormal podcast, and I don't go out usually at all anymore. I went to a house we both went to just a few days ago, Delroy, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about that right after this break.
You awaken in a cold sweat. Your heart races and your breath quickens. It's 3 a.m. and you're not alone. Something lurks in the corner of the room, and it's darker than the night.
You're deep in the woods, enjoying a family camping trip. Marshmallows roast and laughs are shared until something screams from behind the ridge. It's neither human nor animal, but something in between. You can't see it, but it sees you.
You're driving down a dark, lonely road, singing along to your favorite song, when something dressed in white crosses your path. You swerve to an immediate stop and check your rearview mirror, but nothing's there.
The people are real, and the stories are legend.
The problem is that legends are often riddled in myth.
We uncover the truth. Tune in to Paratruth Radio every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, anywhere podcasts are found.
This is Dr. Shelley Kerr, PastLifeLady.com, and you're listening to Ghosts in the Valley podcast.
Okay, I'm back with the TAT Paranormal Team, 4 ladies, and they out there doing some brave work going in these haunted places and investigating and battling these bats in basements. And but one thing we have in common, I went to a house in Delroy, Ohio, and Mike, I'll just use his first name. I'm not putting his address out there, but or his last name, because his house is very haunted. And I believe Tammy was there investigating with another member of your team, correct?
Yeah, Amanda.
Amanda and Tammy were there, the TAT Paranormal team. I can vouch that the house is definitely has spirits in it. What did you come across?
We came across, we had a little girl come through. We had an older woman come through. And I'm thinking on our video when we were listening to it after we were done, we had two gentlemen come through.
Now, did you get ill while you were in the house?
Did we get what?
Ill, like sick or nauseated or?
I get headaches, but I get headaches anytime I channel. So that's totally normal to me.
Because Mike was telling me, I think it was Tammy.
Mike got sick. Mike got a really, really bad headache. Whenever the little girl was channeling me when I was sitting on the steps, she was talking to Amanda. And the whole time it was going on, Mike said he had a severe headache from it.
Yeah, because when I first walked in the house, the back addition is the new addition.
Yeah.
And there was nothing whatsoever. I felt anything there. But as I walked into the room, I believe it would be his living room.
Yeah.
He seen a shadow person behind me. At the same time, I got very dizzy. And I said, I want to step out into the other room to see if there's a difference. And I did. And there was definitely a difference. So I go back into the living room. There was a shadow person behind Mike. So we go up the stairs. And the house is kind of, he calls it a fun house because as you witnessed, the floor is angled down and the ceiling goes the other way.
Yep.
Being upstairs, it was even worse. My phone froze up. I couldn't turn the phone off. And the screen went into four sections, which it has never done. So has anything like that happened to you? Any weird equipment failure?
Amanda's phone was freezing up when we were upstairs because she'd be recording and then all of a sudden I'd hear her start cussing. I'm like, what's the matter? She goes, they're messing with my phone again.
I know he said that, I think it was Tammy that told him there was 4 in the house. You raised your hand with 4 fingers sticking up.
Yep. Yeah, there was 4. I felt that there was a girl, a guy, or a girl, an older woman, and 2 guys.
The 4th one never communicated.
No. We got the girl to come through. The older woman was just mean.
Because Mike was telling me he took care of an elderly gentleman until he passed away in the house. You think that older woman was Mike's wife? Excuse me, the older man's wife?
I don't know because we never had no names come through.
She wouldn't tell us anything.
No.
She was a little snarky, but I don't know if it was because we were there or because she didn't want anybody else in the house.
Mike had been remodeling, hadn't
he? He really didn't do that much to it. No.
I was thinking, because they moved the house from the bottom of the hill up the hill by a team of horses. Originally. So I'm thinking either the house was haunted before they moved it up the hill, or the new place they sat on Indian burial ground, because he has found Indian artifacts and arrowheads in his garden.
Lots
artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
And he also told us that one time he saw a spirit of an Indian walking. If you go out like his side door and you look there in the field, he said he's seen him walking through that field there. Because at first he didn't know what it was.
Right. Yeah, he told me that story too, and I didn't know. I asked him, you think it was maybe a skinwalker or something else? He really didn't know what it was, but he said it wasn't a man. I mean, a real man.
Right.
So I was just curious what you came across, because you had 2 of you in there, and he's wanting more information. But I have found that the paranormal is the unknown. So you're not going to get everything, all your answers to your questions.
And that's like whenever I channel, the girls are fantastic. All 3 of them are very good about trying to get me to answer questions like who is it? Why are they there? And it's totally up to the spirit. If the spirit wants them to have that information, because they'll even ask him what year is it, or how old I am, And the thing is, when I do this, people will say, well, don't you remember? I don't remember nothing. That's why I make the girls record it, because I want to see what's going on. And the girls also say, we can always tell when you're channeling because your demeanor totally changes. Your face expression changes. And sometimes Tara's even noticed that, like, where was we at? She couldn't go on an investigation with us, but we ended up FaceTiming her. And she kept telling Amanda, she goes, Amanda, Tam's writing left-handed. Tam don't write left-handed. She writes with her right hand. And I was writing on a piece of paper, and I mean, I was writing.
It was legible. Yeah, it was legible.
I mean, it wasn't like chicken scratch. You could read it, and I'm not a lefty.
She didn't write with her left hand at all.
So they catch on to certain things
that body language.
Well, and her eyes have changed too. I mean,
they'll catch on things with me that's not normal.
I did an interview with him, but I didn't want to do the interview inside the house. I wanted to do it on the front porch outside of the house, because I just felt like I was being watched or listened to.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have my video camera on, but I had my audio on the whole time I was walking through the house talking to Mike. I have to play that back, because I think there's one section there is actually something there.
I think it's on our page. Mike has it, at least. We had activity upstairs, and we had walked away. He came down the stairs. So we left a camera up, and then we had the music box
on.
It's on our page.
Is it? Okay.
I think it's on our page.
So the music box does motion. So if something walks in front of it, the music box will play. So it's really a cool catch, though, because...
Did he show you that video, Al? Because I sent it to him.
No, he did not. No.
Okay, it is on our page, like she said. Go ahead, Amanda, finish.
But no, it's just a real cool catch, because Tim was actually downstairs at the bottom of the stairs saying, we'll leave you alone to play if you want to play. and you hear us walking away, and then I don't know, maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds later, the music box goes off and you hear little feet and you see a little shadow, like not even halfway up the wall, maybe 3/4 of the way up the wall, run past. So it was a really cool catch. We think it's a little girl.
I mean, you can hear her little feet running across, because I work in a bar and I even show people in the bar my videos and stuff. And when I showed that, people were looking at me going, there's no way. They go, I'd be running out of that house.
Well, I noticed the dog was acting a little strange too in that one spare bedroom.
Yes.
It was like maybe 80 in the house. The temperature was very hot as you went up the stairs. And after I left, he had contacted me and said the house got so hot and so active, he couldn't go back into the house. I think I pissed it off, really.
You know, everybody says, oh, it gets cold. When it gets cold, you got spirits. Well, we've been in rooms where it's gotten so hot that we had to leave the room because it's gotten so hot in there. So I think it's just is the spirits pulling our energy. And I mean, they make it can get incredibly hot. Instead of incredibly cold, it can get extremely hot too.
So do you do very many residential?
Yeah, we don't do any during the summer because that's when we're doing our big trips. And plus we all have active lives too. My sister has a son that's into sports big time. I've got grandchildren. So we try not to overdo it in the summertime. We just stick to our basic. But once fall and winter comes rolling in, that's when we start doing our home visits because we can't, most of the places we can't get into because they don't have heat.
So I'm thinking that you like the asylums and
asylums. The
asylums are always active. You know, whenever you get so many deaths in one place, you know, and there's no closure, find those to be very active.
Yeah, I absolutely love going to the asylums.
Well, okay, girls. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your stories. And when this is released, it'll be on Halloween. And I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to follow you. Keep me updated.
Stay connected, Al.
You're welcome to join us on an investigation sometime if you want.
Oh, maybe. But yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, anytime you want to go with us somewhere, just let us know.
Amanda's real good about posting where we're heading out to or what's up and coming. So if there's something you're interested in, just let us know. Get into contact with. We'll get connected, Al. Well, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
I want to thank Mike for inviting me out to his house doing a walkthrough of his haunted home in Delroy, Ohio. I actually met Mike on a music site on Facebook, and the name of the band was Wendigo Drifter. I liked the band so much I bought their CD. I'll put the links of Wendigo Drifter in the bottom of this episode, and also the links to TAT Paranormal on the bottom of this episode. I want to thank the TAT girls, TAT Paranormal team, from Melbourne, Ohio, and for inviting me to join them on an investigation. I think I will take them up on that next year. And this has been a very fascinating show for me because I haven't done this for quite a while, actually going on site and walking through an active location. And I will tell you 100%, Mike and his wife's house is 100% active. Shadow people, activity in and outside the home. So thank you, Mike, Tammy, Tara, Amanda, and Angel. I hope you enjoyed the Halloween special. I will see you next week with another great episode on Ghosts in the Valley podcast.